Yeah, he's got a market. We know that. That's Deshaun Watson. Didn't even mention him, actually, when we talked about Kirk Cousins before. Got to put him in there. Knock Kirk Cousins down one more notch there. But, realistically, like, what teams do you think are really looking at him right now? I know the Saints and Panthers. We know that's been really linked. I know you and I, and you've known for a long time, Carolina's been serious about Deshaun Watson, right?
They wanted him last year.
Right,
They tried to say after they didn't get him, they didn't want him. Nice try. Sure, Jan. They wanted him, and they were willing to take him with the criminal cases unresolved, the civil cases unresolved. It was 80-20 as the trade deadline approached last year between Miami and Carolina because he wanted to go to Miami. At the end of the day, he wouldn't waive his no-trade clause for the Panthers, or he would be a Panther right now.
Right.
He wouldn't waive his no-trade clause last year. Now the Panthers and the Saints are the two teams that have made offers to the Texans. They don't matter if Watson won't waive his no-trade clause.
Right.
The Panthers have always been part of this.
Yes.
The Saints are a new arrival.
Yes.
And I can tell you, if Sean Payton was still the head coach, they wouldn't be. Sean Payton, not a Deshaun Watson believer, could have drafted him. The year that they were watching and monitoring Patrick Mahomes dropping, and here comes Drew Brees into the draft room, and somebody's got to go tell Drew, there's a chance, you're here with your friends, there's a chance we're going to draft a quarterback here with the 11th pick. Okay, fine, thanks for telling me. They don't get Mahomes. They could have had Watson. They didn't take Watson. Peyton wasn't a Watson guy. Now they're interested in Watson, and the owner reportedly has signed off on Watson becoming a Saint. It comes down to whether or not Watson wants to do it. I don't know. Chris, hey, with Brady back with the Buccaneers, do I want to go to the NFC South with the Panthers or the Saints right now? I'm not so sure I do.
I mean, it's going to be tough sledding. You know that. You do, but, you're still going to want to put your – NFC is not bad in general. I think when you just match it up with the AFC, it's still the better choice, I'd take my chance.
I'd go to the Eagles.
That's where I was going to go next. So you got – let's hit on the teams that, like, legitimately need quarterbacks right now. Panthers, Lions, Seahawks, Saints, Eagles.
Lions aren't doing it. Anything.
They're
Lions
not going to do
got
anything
Jared
either.
Goff with big guaranteed money this year.
I don't think the Seahawks are going to do anything either. I don't think you just traded away and got all these assets for Russell Wilson to put yourself, let's go throw a bunch of assets at a quarterback and Watson and still not build our team. I don't think the Seahawks should be there.
Why do I want to go there if I'm Watson?
Exactly.
It's the 2020 Texans all over again.
Exactly.
I got nothing.
Right. So we hit Panthers, we hit Saints, we hit Eagles. The Steelers, we know, need a quarterback, but they've already said negative Ghost Rider. The Colts need a quarterback. I have a hard time thinking the Texans are going to trade Deshaun Watson to their division rival, right? And then comes the team that we heard about this weekend for the first time that made me perk up. The Cleveland Browns, what? They're interested in Deshaun Watson? Huh? That would be some move there. And that tells me that negotiations with Baker Mayfield probably aren't getting anywhere close to being done or anything like that, or they're still skeptical, certainly. But I think those are the options that I look at least that are viable right now that make sense to where at least he would think about it, too. Browns, Panthers, Saints, Eagles. I think we maybe narrowed it down to those four, really.
And if you're the Texans... Now, I don't know whether or not Deshaun Watson's going to want to go to the Browns. See, I think the goal right now, and this is the one area where the Texans and Deshaun Watson have aligned interests. The goal is to get the most possible teams out there as interested, because that also will make other teams that may be reluctant, given the off-field situation, to go ahead and throw their hat into the ring. Yeah, we weren't going to do this, but everybody else is, so we will too.
Right.
Because you never know which team is the one that's going to make Watson say, that's where I want to go. That's where I want to go. It's one thing for Art Rooney II, who I believe is the one that told Jerry Dulac of the Post-Gazette last week that they weren't interested, prompting the all caps, are not interested. Well, if you see everybody else is interested, if you start catching wind that the Browns are interested, right? If it's one thing to say, nobody really wants this guy right now, he's going to go to the NFC. If all of a sudden he's going to the Browns, if he doesn't come to you,
right?
Maybe it goes from all caps to lowercase before just the knot disappears and it becomes Steelers are interested in Deshaun Watson. So, the fact that no name was announced or attached, to that report, the Steelers can still. They can still
wiggle their way
get back in it if they want. I know our guy Sean King has been banging that drum heavily that the Steelers are going to want Deshaun Watson, and it could be that you've got Mike Tomlin fueled by Brian Flores and what Flores thinks of Watson, pushing and pushing and pushing for this. And now you throw on top of it the possibility he's going to be in Cleveland. That's all the more reason for Mike Tomlin to be getting Art Rooney II on line one and saying, we can't afford to not do this. Mason Rudolph is our current starting quarterback, Art. We've got to do this. Yeah. They're going to get, I said 2 years ago, when Ben Roethlisberger retires, they're going to get left in the dirt in the AFC North if they don't have a good quarterback plan. And they're getting left in the dirt right now with Mason Rudolph. You swap out Baker Mayfield for Deshaun Watson, it's see you later, Pittsburgh Steelers. Enjoy your 6 Super Bowl trophies because you ain't getting another one anytime soon.
Yeah, it's going to be trouble. It's definitely the type of move and the type of player that will make a team reconsider. I don't disagree with you there. If they got wind of that, yeah, maybe they would reconsider, definitely. It'd be a lot to deal with in Pittsburgh, too. I think there's the, hey, Deshaun Watson, like we talked about, controversial. Brian Flores kind of controversial right now, even though we know Flores is a big fan of Deshaun Watson. But, I hear you. He's a game changer. When he's healthy, he's definitely one of the 5 best quarterbacks in football. Like we've discussed many times, he's still got a lot of years in front of him. I mean, one, he's, athletic, young, all of that. But 2, he can play within the pocket. See, that's where Deshaun Watson, he's special in the pocket. This is a special football player. It's the rare blend of kind of what you were talking about with the thing Kirk Cousins doesn't have. Deshaun Watson can run the play exactly the way the coach tells him to. And then when things aren't there, Deshaun Watson can go, okay, it's time to make magic. And that's just a rare breed in the NFL, that guy. That really is. And that's where Watson is special. And that's where he's got 10 years left in his career. Because he's a guy, too, when he can't run or make plays with his legs, he's a good decision maker. He's a really high-quality thrower of the football. So he's not going to go anywhere once he can't run either. He's still going to be able to play and dice defenses up. And that's the value in him. But I don't think the Steelers are happening. I think we named the 4. I'm going to stay with those 4. Panthers, Saints, Eagles, Browns. I think it's one of those 4, and I'm with you. I think the Eagles are the ones that I think are going to be lying in the weeds here and make an aggressive play. And if you made me bet as of right now, I'm going to say Watson's the quarterback of the Eagles when a trade goes down.
The Eagles were interested last year, but Watson, by all appearances, wasn't interested in them. But you look at what Nick Sirianni's done as the head coach. You look at the offensive line. You look at the defense. You look at everything else. You look at the lay of the land of the NFC. You look at the NFC East. Mm-hmm. It makes the most sense for Philadelphia to get Deshaun Watson. And the 22 cases are still there, as I said. And I think it is prudent to see how this all plays out this week with the questioning of Deshaun Watson. And Watson is going to want to meet, and he should. But what it does, we thought, okay, he gets the clean bill of health Friday, at least from the criminal side of the justice system. He can be traded by Wednesday, and the Texans very much would like to do it. They create more than $24 million in cap space if they do it. But I doubt he's available to meet with anyone today, virtually or otherwise, because today's the day that if I'm Rusty Hardin, I am getting him ready to testify tomorrow. He testifies tomorrow. It could extend into Wednesday. I don't know what the time limit is for this or how many other days they have blocked off. But I don't know, maybe you do meetings at night or whatever. But he needs to get to the point where he's happy enough to dump his no-trade clause to go somewhere. And I agree with you. If it were me, I'd pick the Eagles right now. Now again, for you want to get on Zoom with someone and just get a feel for who they are and how it all works. But the Eagles make a lot of sense. And the Browns would make some sense, but not nearly as much. Right. You want to stay in the NFC. You want to get to the NFC. He's already in the AFC. You want to get to the NFC and get to a team that you think is laying the foundation and has stability in the coaching staff, too. That's the other side of it.
That's where Carolina.
That's why I don't want
shaky.
Carolina.
Right.
I don't want Carolina. I don't want Seattle for that reason and many others. Philadelphia, you got year 1 in the books, and the guy took the team to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that even makes it even more attractive.
Yeah, you're right. Year 1 in the playoffs. You talk to people around football. I mean, all you got to do is watch film if you're Deshaun Watson. It's a good offense. Go back through time and watch what Nick Sirianni did before he got with the Eagles. Shane Steichen, the offensive coordinator there, what he was doing with the Chargers. That's the damn good offense. It's one of my favorite in football. And then you said it. I mean, the O-line, Tight end, you got Dallas Goedert. Damn, he's good. They got good receivers there in Philadelphia. That is the team that jumps out to me, definitely. There's no doubt. Cleveland, of course, would be very interesting, too. There's just a few more moving parts, and, Baker Mayfield's there and all that. But that would be a game changer, no doubt, in the AFC if you added Watson to the list. But if I'm him, I'm looking at those Eagles seriously, like you said.
We need to take a break, but I didn't raise this question with you earlier when we were talking about the Browns. Do you think the Texans would take on Mayfield? Is it that simple? Now, obviously, the Browns would have to send more assets to Houston than Mayfield. But is that where Mayfield goes? Because over the weekend, it's like, okay, Mayfield goes to Tampa, and then the Browns make the play for Watson. Could you see Mayfield being welcomed by the Houston Texans?
I could see that. I could see. I had always heard there was love for Baker Mayfield up in the New England building when Baker was coming out in the draft.
That's right. You're right.
Right. Went to Texas. I mean, he's from the state of Texas. Went to Oklahoma. I could see them selling that bill of goods down there. Look, we got Baker Mayfield back down, one of our own back here in town. I certainly could see that happening. Yes.
And if that fails, what about Derek Carr for Baker Mayfield?
Ooh.
I hadn't thought of that because wasn't Josh McDaniels the guy that was all in on Baker Mayfield?
That's what everybody heard, right? I mean, that was kind of the rumor going around the draft.
Private workout with him,
right?
The private workout with him, right. And it's kind of like, why?
I was shocked too. I remember, yeah. I remember going, why, right? And I kept thinking, wait, New England. So we've talked about it so much. One of those teams that has their measurables and what a quarterback should be, and Baker Mayfield didn't necessarily fit it. To where I was always a little, scratching my head about that. But yes, that was always the rumor going around that New England and Josh McDaniels definitely were, a little bit hot and heavy for Baker Mayfield.
But here's the reality. That's before he ever played in the NFL. We now have 4 seasons of NFL film that may change people's minds about Baker Mayfield.
I'm not trading Derek Carr for Baker Mayfield. I want Derek Carr over Baker Mayfield.
And it didn't change Bruce Arians' mind about Baker Mayfield because in 2018, during Baker Mayfield's rookie season, Arians said, the only team I come out of retirement to coach is the Browns. Now, obviously, he contradicted himself. He went to the Bucs, but it was Mayfield. And that's why the Bucs were interested. That whole Buccaneers interested in Mayfield kind of gave legitimacy to the idea of Mayfield potentially having a fresh start somewhere else. So who knows? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.